living in the moment, and the moment is the future.
Welcome to SPED Talk with Pam
and John,
also known as The Calm.
Before the Storm.
Our purpose is to elevate the conversation and amplify special education resources.
And our why is all about the kids. You know, Pam, there are so many organizations and people around Texas who are just making it happen for kids with disabilities.
So let's make this a platform to celebrate their efforts, because special education is about making the impossible possible.
Are we on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, here we go. Here goes nothing. All right, so we're going to see if we can't figure this out, Pam.
All right, John. So where are we today, John?
So we're doing the SPED Talk thing again, and we are in San Antonio, Texas, baby. Edgewood ISD at the Burleson Center for Innovation and Education. And I'm going to tell you right now, we spent the past hour and a half. We thought we were going to be here for like an hour maybe, but I feel like we've barely seen anything so far. There's so much going on at the Burleson Center.
Exactly. And so we have the special education director, Joe Hinojosa, and I'm screwing your name up, and I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
He's going to take care of that in a second. And he has been the host with the most. He has taken us around, showed us everything that this great center has to offer, and discuss his vision for the future. So
and so Joe, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys coming out today and taking the tour with us and Miss Minner, our 18 plus coordinator, and getting to meet our fine staff here who are phenomenal. And none of this happens without all the staff here at Burleson, but most importantly, our 18 plus students. They're phenomenal and amazing, and there's not enough words to describe how cool it is to be able to come to work here every day.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'll tell you, we connected just a while back, and I'll tell you right off, I could tell, man, this guy's doing things with kids, man. He's got a mind for kids and a mind for making things happen for kids. And, you know, we started this whole SPED Talk thing as a way to really celebrate and elevate that conversation around what can happen in special education when we focus on possibilities, not disabilities. And so I feel like Burleson, man, we were so excited to come out here today, and we jogged over from Austin, and man, the minute we got here, it was like, man, you know, the eyes got big. We walked in, like every staff member we've met, it's like you guys are walking in tandem, right? Man, y'all are all moving in the same direction, and it's all about creating opportunity for kids here at Burleson.
Yes, sir. It absolutely is. Like you said, it doesn't happen without the staff.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I'm lucky to work with so many phenomenal people that we all share the same vision. It doesn't work if everybody doesn't bring their ideas to the table. It's not just one central idea or mission that's mine. The mission vision revolves around everyone's input. And that, I think, is the ingredient for all of us to have that buy-in, to have that input, because we all are able to share in that vision. But at the end of the day, it comes down to students. It comes down to being able to bring it every day and understanding that the needs that our young adults have here at Burleson are 18 plus. But also, how does that trickle down for the enthusiasm we have for all our students across the district, and being able to be surrounded by great staff, not only who work with our students who are in receiving special ed services, but all students across the district, and being able to be a great support for our administrators, campuses, and most importantly, our community.
And one thing we talk about a lot in special education is outcomes. The old word, outcomes. So what are the outcomes for students receiving special education services? And then we talk about, when we look at 18 plus program, we're looking at transition, which is really tied to outcomes.
Yeah.
And I have to say, when I walked in here, when John said, okay, we're going to go look at this 18 plus program, I'm going, okay, I've seen 18 plus programs. So.
Yeah, and Pam's like, well, I'm looking for this, and I'm looking for that. I'm like, Pam, I'm over here excited. And Pam's like thinking logistically over here.
Well,
but that's what we
one
did.
Of those questions, because one of the big thing is, unfortunately, with some 18 plus programs, there's no way to see clear outcomes for the students. Like, where does it lead?
That's right.
Or are we keeping them for additional years and then they're just going home, which is one of my pet peeves, is that we should not be transitioning kids to the couch.
Yeah.
And when I walked in, I was pleasantly surprised to see everything that you all have here. So if you can share with our listeners what the Burleson Center is about and all the things that you all are doing.
Thank you so much. And first off, thank you for the compliment, because I think that's the greatest compliment to have from another educator, is to to see from that the outcomes and to really see that this is a place where the mindset and the goal is to have a positive outcome for the benefit of students, that they become productive in society, but also independent in their living and the skills that they may exhibit. So for Burleson, it's been an amazing ride in the past 2 years being in the facility here. Some pretty cool things that we have. We have a t-shirt business. We have a bike shop. We have baristas, a sensory garden. We're about to move into the world of hydroponics with gardening and look at starting to have market days for those type of things. We have a Burleson boutique where our students across the district who are self-contained units are able to come every 6 weeks and really focus on the needs and things that they're working on in the classroom related to their goals. But I like to think we do things a little bit differently, and it's really hard to explain over a microphone. And so I really would hope that anyone listening would take the opportunity to drive down to San Antonio and take a tour and visit Burleson in and of itself. At the end of the day, this all still comes back to the needs of students. And that the staff really looks at listening to what the students want. And the businesses that you see here, the things that we're doing are not what we started as saying, hey, it's beneficial for adults if we do this. This is what student choice, the student choice of wanting to do these different activities, initiatives, and then supporting it. I appreciate it. All these things are great. Well, you don't get to greatness without failure. There's a lot of things that in trying to do these things that we didn't do such a good job of. And I think being vulnerable and admitting to that and saying that, we were doing this, didn't work so well, but then what did we learn from it to be better? The other thing is we were growing, I think, way too fast. We were bringing in a lot of different ideas, a lot of different things that we thought along with the students that, hey, if we do this, and we really had to take a step back. And really focus on the things that we are doing really well. But moving forward, how are we going to integrate new opportunities and what's that going to look like?
Yeah, almost like quality check. Hey, we want to keep quality of these things we're doing exceptional. We don't want to do things halfway just because we can.
And the beauty of San Antonio, specifically of Edgewood and where Edgewood is located, is down the road, there's a Port SA, which is a phenomenal opportunity in the world of cybersecurity, a lot of new initiatives that are in the world of social media on different platforms. And San Antonio is really moving into that area. And so looking at the non-traditional focus a lot of times of 18 plus of, restaurants and retail and those things, which are all important, is how do we expand and move into some of these other areas as well and really look at what those are going to be down the road in conjunction with what the community of San Antonio is looking for future employers of our employees, I should say. So it's always keeping our mind open. It's always listening to the needs of our students, but really looking at what's available and what's out there that we can also prepare our young adults for the future. I think the other beauty of Burleson is it's not also just a place for students who receive special ed services. I like to consider it a hub through Edgewood where anyone can come through. We've had our partnerships with our practicum students through the culinary arts programs that came here, and you really start to have an all-inclusive setting. And I think that's what's pretty cool about being a hub, having the support of the school board, having the support of the superintendent, is recognizing that this is a place of opportunity, but an opportunity for all. And when we talk about education, we really shouldn't be talking about our sub-pops and these things. And in that capacity, what we really should be looking at is what are we doing for all students? Because we all count. But I think also what I really enjoy about Burleson is not only what we do for our students, our adults, but also our employees. I think one of the things as you guys came through here is it's a place to work where I hope that everyone finds enjoyment and they feel, it's a place where they have family and it feels like a family and you feel supported. And we're able to help take care of adults' social-emotional needs as well as young adults and students as well. So I think all of that kind of trying to encompass what Burleson is, but I would definitely recommend you come visit for yourselves and get that tour.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's funny, one of our goals with SPEDTalk is really humanizing kind of the people we go out and talk to, because our goal really is for this to be less about us and more about that story. Every face has a story. Every data point has a face. Like, I love that you said that earlier. Like, why focus on data? Don't do that before you focus on the face behind the data. There's a face there, and that's what really matters, not what that data tells us, but what does it tell us about that face on the other end? And I feel like there's a real sense of not just community here in Burleson and your center and all the cool different initiatives you guys are taking on, but also connected out to the greater community. Like, every time we go in a room, it would be like, oh yeah, well this is tied to this. And so, like, will you talk a little bit about your community partnerships like we were talking about earlier?
Right, yeah. So I think none of this really works without the community partnerships. And I think a lot of times in 18 plus programs, sometimes it's entrenched within just the school district and the surrounding area, which is also very important when we look at transportation and some of those needs. But the reality is, to have exposure, you really have those community partners. You really have to put yourself out there. And sometimes it's very hard to, because you're representing not only your district, but you're representing your kids. Yeah. You're representing and so sometimes, you put yourself out there and you hear no. Well, you know what? No's fine. We'll just move on and we'll kick down some doors somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, you want to have community partners that are invested, and you got to have that investment, and it's got to be mutual, because at the end of the day, what you don't want is to have someone that says, oh yeah, we're going to partner with you. But if you look 2 years down the road and they still haven't hired any of your young adults, then that's not truly a true partnership, because it's not leading to that independence. And so that's one of the things we really look at when we're looking to partner with different individuals, whether it's just a mom and pop or it's a big type business, but it's also looking at the needs of students individually and seeing what that looks like. Yeah. We're very fortunate in San Antonio to have different universities that we're able to be able to have conversations with. Our service center of Region 20, that has, I gotta say, give them a shout out that they've been
straight up
super supportive of Burleson.
Well, they got us here. Amy and Lisa, they said, hey, they were bragging on this place, gosh, a year ago, said, guys, y'all have got to get out and see this place. And so, it took a while, but here we are. Right. Yeah.
Whoop, to Sam Gonzalez as well.
Yeah.
And so to the community side of all of that, we've, you got to see the adaptive bikes as well that we worked with the Believe It Foundation with the McAllister family. That was huge. A shout out to Andrew McAllister and the Believe It Foundation and Harlandale ISD and Della Taylor, who introduced us to that. For people that come through and see the adaptive bikes and the things that we're doing here, it doesn't start without Harlandale inviting us. Yeah. And what I will say about that is pretty cool is when you have another school district that's willing to share what they have with others so it can expand more for students. Yes. Is hugely important.
Expanding that world,
And so with that, with the Believe It Foundation and the McAllister family, the goal of Andrew is to have inclusivity all around. And so part of that is, hey, he's like, guys, you got to start partners in PE before we start looking at even getting you any adaptive bikes. I love that. And Ms. Minner and Coach Lewis over at Memorial, when working with the principal there, Ms. Pam Reese, worked in really, when you think about how quickly things have to turn around, it has to be approved by the board, it's a new course, all of those things, right? And then placing students in the class, and all of a sudden you have partners in PE that takes off. And how cool is it when you see students working together with students with disabilities and abilities right alongside, because then it's not about anything else except the love and compassion of one human to another and working together, and you see past all those things. Then you start to get these bikes that the Believe It Foundation has donated to us, and looking at students that are maybe confined to a wheelchair that are now able to have accessibility to ride a bike.
Maybe for the first time.
And to see a smile, and to then have conversations with the McAllister, with Andrew, and he's like, hey man, I want to blow this up to where we're like in Hemisphere Park. We're at the Alamo Dome. Wow. And to think like, man, we're going to be a part of that. How cool is that? Yeah. To Mr. Jones, who you met also, who brings out of his time, donates his time to come in and work with our students. And he was featured in San Antonio as someone who makes San Antonio great. Wow. I see him on TV, so I'm going to call this guy. call him up, and next thing you know, he said, I'll come meet with you. And here he is in his skill set of teaching our students how to work on bikes, how to fix bikes.
Yeah, and is he an educator?
No, he's
because like, man, I'm watching this guy in there with these kids, and these are kids that a lot of times they wouldn't make eye contact. You wouldn't have, and he's like, I mean, it's constant engagement. Like they're working on bikes. He's giving them directions. They're laughing. They're engaged. I mean,
right. He has his program, which is Role Models, which he started and is the founder of. And that's why he was featured for all these great things he was doing out in the community and all the skill set that he has and he brings to the table. Yeah. It's one of those things.
So he is a teacher.
You put yourself out there, right? Yeah. I give him a call. He could have very well said no. And the crazy thing about that to me is had he said no, we wouldn't be where we are today. Yeah. But a simple yes, I'm going to come by and visit, and he and I start talking, and all of a sudden, here we are, 9 months later, and you have a gentleman that walks through the doors, and he automatically gets a smile from kids.
That's powerful.
How cool is that? There's nothing better that gives back to the heart than knowing that what you're doing means something, and to be able to do that is pretty cool. And then it goes back to the bigger picture. All that gets to happen here in Burleson. Yeah. And then we all get to be a part of it. You just walk by and you see kids engaged. I don't even have to step in the room to feel what that feels like internally. Yeah. When you see student engagement, that's learning. Yeah. And to be able to see that, that's powerful. So it's pretty cool. You're leaving the building out of Burleson and where the bike shop is. Yeah. It's located as one of the front areas when you leave. So, you may not be having the best day. You walk by and you see students engaged and learning. How does that not pick you up when you're walking out the door? Now I'm going to go visit another campus. I'm going to take that energy and I'm going to use that energy to help more kids, to help more staff. And I think that's the beauty of the Burleson Center is it's a lot of energy feeding off one another. Yeah. We don't always have the best of days. We don't always, there's times where Joe and the host is feeling, I'm not feeling it. Yeah. But I'm surrounded by good people. I'm surrounded. I get to see young adult. I get to see kids interactive and engaging. And then how do you take that? You have one or two choices. You can still let how you're feeling define you, or you're like, man, I'm gonna bring it. Let me take it out there and let me go help more kids. So I think that's really what this building really encompasses is it's people. Yeah. It's people centric of people working together for one cause, and the cause for us is Edgewood, for our kids, but not only that, the surrounding community. So, I get fired up about it. I can talk about it all day.
Well, I told Pam, I said, Pam, you better eat your Wheaties this morning because when me and Joe, boy, we started talking, and it was like, we already knew each other. I'm like, we've been knowing each other.
So I had to give you a hug when you
man. I mean, it's for real though. You pick up on it. Like, man, you got. And it's not like right or wrong, good or bad. It's just about having that vision, that idea that, look, what if we put the needs of kids first? What would that look like? What would that feel like? And what would the outcomes be? And you're getting to walk that walk and talk that talk at the same time right now here at Burleson. So that's huge stuff, man.
So I have a question for y'all. I mean, you got to meet the staff. You got to meet the students. What was your takeaway from that?
Oh, what I think is so cool is you were saying, I hope my employees find as much energy, can say that this is a love. Every testimony from every single employee, every single student meets you, greets you with a smile. I mean, come on, and I mean, it's brought tears to my, it's just cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You got choked up here, Amy.
Yes, I did.
That's why we bring Amy. Yeah, Pam and me, we're like robots, emotionless. But Amy, she's our feeler.
One thing, because I've worked so many years in the area of transition.
Yes.
And so the fact that this is not a transition center was the first thing. That it was a center of innovation, and I thought, and truly innovation, because I have this pet peeve when I hear something, the district innovation, I'm going, so what's innovated?
You changed our calendar date.
Yeah, as I'm going, that's not really innovated. Okay, I don't think that's what we had in mind, the commissioner had in mind. Right. But here I can see the innovation, and your staff is exuding that. Let's try this. And in no time, is it Sarah?
Yes.
anytime she's like, well, students want to make T-shirts. I don't know anything about making T-shirts. We're going to try. We're going to find out how to make it.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
we're
Figure it
interested-
out.
Yeah, they're interested in building and place a nook outside.
Right.
Okay, don't know anything about that, but we're going to build it.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times in special education, we get stuck on why something won't work.
Yeah.
We get into a defeatist attitude before we even started and say,
Yeah.
no, even look at the population of students that you're serving. It's like, you know, who would imagine students working in a bike shop, or who would imagine, you know, the T-shirt shop or the culinary or whatever it is that you're expanding to. It's like, okay, you guys are the risk takers.
Yeah.
You're not saying
The right risks.
You're
right?
not, you know, you're not generating a list of going, okay, we can't do this because blah, blah, blah. We don't have the money. Well, who does? You know, and that's education, you know,
That's fair.
Right.
or, you know, we're not sure what the kid's ability. Well, we don't know until we try. And that comes out very clear, is that you're willing to take the risk, and you have people around you who are willing to go on this wild ride and see where you land. And it seems
Passion and purpose.
they're enjoying the ride. They love working with the kids, even the young man who knows his job.
Oh boy, get out of his way. What was his name?
That was Moses.
Moses, yeah.
Yes.
Man.
He knows his task, and he's doing it without anyone telling him. And also, I'm turning over to John, it's the independence.
Yeah.
Because what are we finding a lot of in our transition programs is that we're not teaching the kids the level of
Self-determination, independence.
the independence they need to
Yeah.
be able to initiate, follow through, and really do for themselves.
Yeah.
And here, watching your print shop manager, it's Michael,
Which is so cool. He's designing the
Fabulous T-shirts, by the way.
Yes.
Like,
he knows what to do.
Yeah.
Sarah didn't stand over him and say, do this, do that.
No.
And I had worked in 18+ program, and unfortunately, one student was not able to get employed because he never got the independent skills. And I mean, I feel like, okay, I'll let him down because because we were constantly on him, but we never backed up and say, okay, you have to own this. You have to become responsible and, become more independent. But here you can see the students are very independent. There's no bells.
They own what they do.
Yeah.
So as special ed liaisons, we have this unique role. And I know you've got to work with Lisa and with Amy a little bit. And was that during their time as liaisons?
Yes.
Okay. And so you've got a little taste of kind of that uniqueness of this role that we get to go out and kind of work with schools and do maybe some UDL or some design thinking or some, innovate, do some of the cool things, more theoretically really from what we're standing from. Because a lot of us have been in different perspectives of your world in our past. And so, I think through the lenses that I've been exposed to, that's I think human nature is we reflect on our experiences in life and make connections. And so I feel like in many ways, man, I'm living vicariously through you right now because so many things that I was blessed with, surrounding myself with people that did this cool work. Like this is on steroids here, man. This is like and my sense is that this is just beginning. Like I get this feeling, Joe, that you guys here are starting something that you're going to have to like kind of navigate the scale and the scope because there's some magic going on here at Burleson, but it's not at Burleson. Like I get the feeling like in some ways the magic's happening in each of the schools around the district, and the way you talk about the kids coming in from the campuses and going out, the market day, talk about the market day.
So market days, So we have market days every 6 weeks. And so the market days for our students in our self-contained units. And we have over a 3-day period, about 194 students that start all the way from the XC all the way up to high school. Yeah. And so they're able in their classroom to earn Burleson bucks throughout the week, day through the week. And they're able to come through and we have a Burleson boutique, which is all items that are donated from just different individuals. And it's a lot of things that students are able to come through, and from clothes to toys to household items to things we sometimes don't even think of that get donated. Right. And it's pretty cool to see. And I would love to invite y'all to come back and see that. But to your bigger point about Burleson and just being a place of magic that's spreading out into the district. We've been fortunate enough, and I cannot say it enough, to have a board that is so supportive, not just Burleson, I think is really a microcosm of the district.
I love
Yes.
that.
And
I love that.
nothing happens in one place if it's not happening elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so to have the board support, but also our superintendent who has come on board and has been super supportive as well. So how often do you find when you're going in different school districts and you have the superintendent in your building and he's just here just to talk to kids? Because maybe he wants to come and see you, and it's not about what's going on. It's about, man, I generally, because he knows the students by name.
Yeah.
We have so many different individuals that they just know our students. And they're just coming in because I just want to check in and see how they're doing.
Yeah.
And that is the bigger scope, I think, of what's happening in the 16-mile square radius of Edgewood. That Burleson, man, we're just a small piece of all the wonderful bigger things that are happening. And if it gets people's foot in the door to come down to Edgewood and check out Burleson, man, go see the rest of our campuses. Go see the rest of our kids, because there is so much pride here.
Yeah.
But it's pride that is earned. And this community is resilient. This community is strong, and there's a lot of grit in our community. But our kids are amazing, and they do so many wonderful things. And there's a lot of new programs that are coming through in our schools that, by all means, all our campuses should be checked out.
Yeah.
For
Walking in, I'll tell you, you said something a little while ago when it was the circle of the Joes, right?
Yeah.
Some of your peeps that are really making it happen. You said, hey, walking in, look, you may hear a rooster crow, which we heard on the way in.
Yeah.
And listen, for a country boy like me, boy, I felt right at home, right? Because I got my chickens and my homegrown eggs, all that good stuff, the roosters in the morning. And so I'm crosswalking here, they're laughing at me. But look, the reality is there's all the reasons in this community not to make innovative decisions, not to do the things you're doing, right? To have the excuses to say, well, PBMAS, RDA, we're stage this, we're stage. Yeah, no, that's not what defines us, right? We're going to take chances on kids here because it's the right thing to do. And because you know what? Why not? Why not make life better? Why not expand the worlds of others? And so that's kind of, I think, the magic that's happening is that just having the courage to put yourself out there. Like you said, when we first walked in, you got to be vulnerable. You got to let yourself be vulnerable if you want to make things better. And so that's kind of where I think, I look at how, and I'll tell you what, man, I want to take you up on it. I want to get our group down here. I want to get, our rep from TEA down here. I want to show them the campus and let them see kind of the special things that are going on, because I think that even, at the state agency, they know that, the sum total of a school is not the numbers on a page that they get. There's people and faces and relationships and work being done out there that can't be captured on a computer. And so that's really part of our initiative, is getting out and visiting and being able to showcase the work of people like yourself and your amazing staff. My gosh, you've got some of the most amazing people working right here with you at Burleson here in Edgewood. And so, Pam, I'm talking too much again.
Well, that's normal, John.
I know it is. I know. So
The one thing I want to touch on, how are we on time, maybe?
You have 3 minutes.
I have 3 minutes. Okay. So it's that the fact you mentioned that you also work with the middle school. Sometimes you have middle school students that come in. Can you address that?
Yes, ma'am. So in the past, we had some middle school students that were struggling a bit, and we were able to bring them in. And I think really what was cool about that was you have students at a very vulnerable age. Middle school is just a weird time.
Yeah.
And but I think if we don't also take from our own personal experiences, you look back at yourself, and I look back at myself as an awkward middle school person trying to make my way through what. But at the same time, you're at this place in a decision of what are some of those things I'm going to do as high school nears, and endorsement wise, and what piques my interest, and all of these different things, and so being able to have the different opportunities that we have here, different exposure to different endeavors that we're doing. How cool is that to expose some of our middle school students who are that student that just really doesn't have that connection to something to teach them, like, oh, that is tied into maybe graphic design at the high school, or welding at the high school. And so to be able to show that exposure and have that is what's pretty cool, and what we look at doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, you guys are killing it here. I'll tell you that. So, like the middle school kids too. I love that you were talking about how, the idea of almost like developing, kind of planting the seed of like the future workforce, right? The maybe future educators and.
Right. So as to all my special education fellow directors and everyone else out there that understands. Majority sometimes of our budget and contracted services when it comes to speech or LSSPs, OTs, PTs, O&M, VI.
Shortages
I can
everywhere.
go on and on.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're looking as far as trying to be innovative is looking how we can have more exposure for our students at the middle school level of what those career fields may look like.
Yeah.
What that could be in relation to maybe they don't want to be a teacher, but they want to be involved some type of way in education. And then, of course, it doesn't always have to roll into education. It could be clinical, but it is an occupation and it is still a choice. You look back, and that was one of the things as we looked at, how do we expose people early on, our young adults, about these fields?
Yeah.
And how cool would it be that we are able to start to plant the seeds of that next workforce where those shortages are in education?
Absolutely.
It would be so amazing for us as directors that are making those budgetary decisions and not have to worry about how we would contract services out, because there is not a shortage. There is people that can fill those positions.
Yes.
And then now I have money that I'm not having to use in these areas. I can put into my needs elsewhere.
That's right.
And so that's really thinking long-term
Yeah.
and really seeing what that can look like. But I think that's also being very realistic of needs that we have in education and having that focus and mindset. It really comes into having not just a fixed mindset that if all I'm going to worry about is accountability and all I'm going to worry about is RDA and how do I get past this point? And all I'm doing is I'm living year to year.
That's right.
As opposed to having a growth mindset of, okay, how can I think long-term in these aspects?
Outside of the constraints I'm living in
Right.
to create opportunity.
The accountability is going to be there. It's going to be what it is.
Yeah.
All the other things that we have to do, we can't change those. We know those are what we live with. But at the end of the day, what's our mindset? What can we do to have an exposure that's bigger, that's beyond us as well?
Yes.
To create the next workforce, whatever it may be. But you have to have exposure.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's pretty cool about being here as well, is that we have the ability to have and expose students to different fields that we hold in the jobs that we do, but we're still being able to impact them.
Yes.
So the beauty of that is, man, we can open those doors and you can come in and you can see a whole new world that maybe you weren't expecting to see.
Yes.
But that also starts with the conversation of individuals that have these occupations.
Right.
Man, we got to get kids and fired up about wanting to be LSSPs.
Yeah,
who
OTs
knew what
and
that was
PTs.
in middle school, right?
Right, exactly. I can't
all
wait to grow up and be an O&M.
Yeah,
Right. What?
I don't get called.
I love my O&Ms. Don't get me wrong. I mean, yeah.
I don't get called to career day with anybody saying they want to be the next special ed director.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So how do we get people fired up?
That's
about
right.
That? But you do got to get individuals fired up about education.
Yeah.
And that happens in so many different ways. And it's not our traditional classroom teachers that have to define that.
Yeah.
There's so many different roles where you're able to impact community students in different ways and different varieties. And I think that's important. And that starts through exposure.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Right.
Also, when you look at a typical ISD, the number of jobs that are in the ISD.
Yeah.
The students might just be focusing on the teachers in the classroom, but we know there's a lot of other people doing a lot of different jobs. And sometimes we do a poor job as educators of making kids aware of the different jobs that are
available.
within education. So
Yeah, right.
an LSSP or
Yeah.
even if that's not, even that's not, even if it's just, maintenance, if you like to build something or fix stuff,
Yeah.
just having those skills. I mean, sometimes we just
That's
forget
diverse.
that, this is, education is a business.
Yeah.
Yes.
And,
Absolutely.
And there's different jobs within this organization we call education. And
It's an organization that has so many moving parts that
Exactly.
you have to have different layers of that. And it doesn't work, our bus drivers are so vital to everything
my
that
gosh.
happens because our kids don't get to school without our bus drivers.
Amen.
Right.
And
so-
how they get to school and
Right.
what mindset they get to school. I mean, I love me some bus drivers.
And so, when you, I mean, that's a great observation.
Yes.
That we have to really look at where does that start and where does that end? And,
Yeah.
the other is even our custodians,
Yeah.
having a beautiful facility starts there and
Yes.
having because it all works together organizationally
Mm-hmm.
to be a truly fantastic campus,
Yeah.
fantastic organization. But you got to have that spark. We have to give kids that spark to where they're. Oh, that seems pretty cool. Let me check into that.
Yeah.
And where does that lead to?
Yeah.
As opposed to us making decisions of what we think that they want to do, we got to
Yeah.
have our kids be able to give that spark of what they want to do
Yeah.
and take their input and really realize that you don't want to put that out. You want to make sure that
That's
you
right.
feed that.
I love that. I saw
Right.
that on the wall out there. Keep kids curious or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Feed curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yes.
And also the fact that there's honor and value in all jobs,
Yes.
100%.
You're absolutely right.
Because
Every job makes a difference.
Right.
And it's also the choice that we bring of what that job is, the
Yeah.
attitude
Right.
that we have.
Yeah.
That the title is not important. It's the person of value that they bring to the organization, to the climate, to the culture that's going to make it valuable.
Yeah.
And
Leadership at
that's-
all levels.
absolute.
Like that's what I see evident up here is leadership at all levels.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the students, boy, I know y'all said, man, some of them, boy, dressed up. You can tell they're wearing it, looking good. I mean,
Yeah.
taking pride in their presentation and greeting us when we walked up and introducing themselves by name. And it's just, I mean, we take some of that stuff for granted these days, soft skills and our presentation and how we present ourselves to others. And so, I mean, not just the staff, but the kids here really exemplify that.
And everybody had a responsibility. I think had an investment, had a personal investment in the school,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't get out of Moses's way, he'll run over you because he's a busy guy.
He is
Yeah.
a busy guy.
Yeah, he's-
and I think what's really makes my heart happy is you guys have been here for a little bit, just taking a tour and visiting. And
Yeah.
and actually, I want to say it's not even a tour because I think sometimes when people suggest it's a tour, that means that we're going to get ready for you. We're not going to get ready for you.
Yeah.
You can show up and
Yeah.
it's what you see is what you get. We got our good days, but at the end of the day, you can't miss on what the heart of everything that we do is.
Exactly.
And so I think that's one of the things that's really important is our doors are open to be able to see the things that are happening
Mhm.
and to take pleasure and enjoyment. That the biggest compliment I think is not that you've been here in such a short amount of time, but everything that you see and the takeaway from it is how we feel
That's awesome.
every
Right.
day.
Yeah.
So to hear your words, and sometimes
Yeah.
I will say I get lost in it because
Yeah.
we live it.
Right.
That to hear it
Reflected back.
is very
Yeah.
much bringing joy to me right now.
Yeah.
Of like, wow, I get to do this every day. How cool is that?
Yeah.
I mean, this is my reality.
Mhm.
And not to take away from all the other challenges of being a special ed director.
There's a few of them out
we
there,
have,
a few of them,
that
yeah.
we have. But when you get to see pure enjoyment and you get to see smiles on kids' faces,
Yeah.
man, how can you not beat that?
Right.
That's the cool stuff. Right
That's what it's all
Right.
about.
Yeah.
And I think something you said earlier as we were walking around, number one, there's words of inspiration everywhere. But you talking about that this isn't just happenstance, this is intentional.
Yeah.
We have put a lot,
And
a lot
organic.
of,
Yeah.
yes, and that comes through as well. Just really and truly, each room breeds your heart.
Yeah.
And so I've been totally inspired.
Well, thank you. You guys have inspired me,
That's good stuff.
to
Yeah.
walk away and think, okay, you never know. The next endeavor may be a Burleson podcast.
Come on
There
now.
you
So-
go.
You got your first listener right here, baby.
That may be coming.
We're ready.
Next.
I love it.
That may be coming next. We always
You've
get
done all
ideas.
this in such a short amount of time. I think
Yeah.
next week I'm ready for the podcast.
Yeah.
We'll put down the mic, baby. I mean, you just take it. Yeah, you're a natural. Well, listen, man. I mean, Pam, do you have any more?
No, I think we're time to wrap it up.
It's-
Yeah, it has been a pleasure and an honor. We really are blessed that we get to go around and celebrate with people like yourself, this cool work and the staff and the amazing things you're doing here. And so for us, we leave, I mean, like we're walking on cloud nine because it's so exciting to get out, right? We live in this world of, I mean, if you turn the news on or if you turn, it's just, there's stuff going on that kind of rips at your soul. But then you come out and you see this kind of stuff and it feeds your soul and it reminds you that, man, one person at a time, two people at a time, you make a difference. And so we are just so honored to be able to come out and be with you here today. I feel like you really served, our need in coming out and wanting to celebrate this work and record a podcast. And I hope that we can come back and really serve Burleson and bring our group of educators from around the state and share this with them, because this has been powerful.
Well, I thank you. And once again, it's not me. It's a total team effort from across everyone here in Edgewood ISD. I'm just fortunate enough that I get to work in a great district and be a part of something very special. So I thank you for coming out today. And I really thank you from the bottom of my heart of being able to really experience the joy that we get each and every day. So,
well, now you're a sped talker.
Oh, thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That will do it for this episode of SPED Talk.
And remember, courage creates culture and kindness keeps us connected.
Until the next time, I'm Pam.
And I've been John.
And this is
SPED Talk. To continue to elevate the conversation, hit us up on Twitter at SPEDTalk 2020, where you can find links to all of our episodes and each of the resources that we discussed today.
John also links to the resources will be available at our podcast site.
And if you found these resources helpful, be sure to share them with a friend, because information should always flow through us, not to us.
Living in the moment, and the moment is the future.